Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of our podcast, Dual MBA. Today's topic is going to be pay and compensation. Now, there's no doubt that every job requires a pay. But do you know how the number that goes into each person's salary slip is decided? I don't. So I'm going to be asking Mr. MBA and Marwadi Seth a series of questions to understand this process. The first question to you guys is, how have you structured pay and compensation at your organization? Mr. MBA, what do you have to say about this question?
Compensation and benefits refer to the benefits a firm provides to its employees in exchange for their work. Compensation and benefits are thus a key part of human resource management. The basic components of employee compensation and benefits are guaranteed pay, variable pay, other benefits, and equity-based compensation. The CNB team takes care of the structure and the implementation for us usually.
ये सही है यार, सबके लिए एक टीम होता है आपके पास.
Correct, that's true. So Marwadi Seth, आप बोलिए, what do you have to? How is it different in your companies then?
So I give a lot of flexibilities to my managers, right? They know their people, they know their worth and what they have done. So they are the best judges of how much to pay the employees. Of course, if there is any doubt or some questions, I'm always there to help. But they start the process. There is no specific structure as a result, right? But that is because not all roles are the same. For example, how will I give the same variable pay to two different jobs? Some things have to be different, no?
Makes sense actually. So MBA is talking about structure and you're talking about flexibility. Interesting point. I think that with that we can move on to the next question. So I have heard a lot about incentives, like this is the word when it comes to pay and compensation. So how do you include incentives in the monetary compensation for your employees? Mr. MBA, how does this apply in your structured process of pay and compensation?
Sure. So incentives can be of two categories, bonuses and profit sharing. Employees may be paid bonus for meeting a monthly or an annual performance goal or achieving a specific cost-saving objective. In this instance, employees are rewarded based on achieving their goals. In a profit-sharing plan, employees may receive some portion of the firm's profit. Employee profit shares are usually based on annual company financial performance and therefore are paid once a year with either a bonus or a profit share. An important incentive pay consideration is whether the bonus or profit share is the same for all employees or whether it is differentiated by level in the organization, base pay or some other criteria. Choice Homes, for example, a large-scale builder of starter homes, pays an annual incentive share that is the same for everyone. The president receives the same profit share or bonus as the lowest paid employee. Can you believe that?
So this is a good and fair way of looking at incentives, right? But now, with the COVID situation around, I hear from a lot of my friends in the corporate sector that they have not been given any bonuses or profit shares, even though a majority of the firms have made profit. So is there any other factor that relates to this?
That's a great question. Prolonged period of economic slowdown before the virus pandemic had expected to impact the payouts this year. Salaries of Indian employees were expecting an average hike of 9.1% in the year 2020. This increase in salary was pegged to be the lowest in the decade, reflective of the economic slowdown we were experiencing. But after the pandemic hit the global economy, the effect is going to be greater. We may expect delays in increments, for many organizations are taking the wait and watch approach to assess the current situation. Also, we should expect hikes to be conservative, with larger impact on bonus payouts than fixed pay increases, as they are reflective of the business performance of any organization.
That's a great question you asked there, Marwadi Seth. Even I was, looking forward to hearing from Mr. MBA what the current situation and how that affects the pay and compensation. So Marwadi Seth, we would like to hear from you as well as to how this question applies to your style of management.
So look, I am not a big believer in giving incentives for people to do the regular jobs. That's just a salary, no? If I see them doing extra work, then of course they should get incentivized, but not until then. Anything else, right, then that variable pay or incentive is mostly just a way of deferring salary until the end of the year, right? So let me give you an example. I tell someone in my company who deals with vendors that his salary is 10 lakhs for the year, okay? And his job is to keep talking to vendors, looking at quality, making sure all the material reaches on time and so on. Now, there is no point in saying I'll pay you 2 lakhs more if all the material reaches on time. That doesn't make sense to me. But if he was able to negotiate with a vendor to reduce cost, then I'll give him much more than 2 lakhs because it is worth it for me. Right? So that's how I look at incentives, in going above what you are asked to do in your job.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense actually. So what Mr. MBA said is that if the company is making profits, then let's share the profits. But what you're saying is if that the employee is putting, those extra effort into making, let's say, extra sales on his behalf, then let's pay incentives. Interesting perspectives both of you have got. This was really cool. So I think we can move on to the next question, which is what use does compensation data? I know both of you have extensive pay and compensation data at your end. How does that serve to you as a company?
Right. So I'll be honest. It doesn't mean so much to me, right? Man liya that in a very large company, 50,000 people, etc., you need to have some past data and define standards. But in a small to medium-sized company, you should not have this. I don't agree that you should look at compensation data of the past, right? Because no two people are the same for me, nor should they be. I must evaluate each person differently, see what they are capable of, and pay them accordingly. That is for when I hire, of course, and then on a continuous basis, it is the same thing, right? Of course, anyone who has been with me for a long time and has my trust will be evaluated differently.
Well, recruitment and retention of qualified employees is a common goal shared by many employers. To some extent, the availability and cost of qualified applicants for open positions is determined by market factors beyond the control of the employer. While an employer may set compensation levels for new hires and advertise the salary ranges, it does so in the context of other employers seeking to hire from the same applicant pool. Morale and job satisfaction are affected by compensation. Often there is a balance that must be reached between the monetary value the employer is willing to pay and the worth of sentiment felt by the employee. In an attempt to save money, employers may opt to freeze salaries or salary levels at the expense of satisfaction and morale. Conversely, an employer wishing to reduce employee turnover may seek to increase salaries and salary levels. Compensation may also be used as a reward for exceptional job performance. Examples of such plans include bonuses, commissions, stock, profit sharing, gain sharing, etc.
That's awesome. Now, since you both have such different views, I'm just thinking. So, for example, Mr. MBA, you said that, from the pool of data that you have, you can decide what you're going to offer a new hire. And Mr. Marwadi said, you said that no two people can be treated as the same and they're unique. Now, with that, I have a next question for you guys, which is how does the department, in your case, Mr. MBA, you have an HR department, you said, how does your HR department calculate compensation and benefits?
While government set the floor for pay, known as the minimum wage, businesses are generally free to set their own wages. However, you'd be hard-pressed to hire an accountant for minimum wage. Instead, you'll need to pay at a market rate.
But don't you think market rates dilute the essence of the uniqueness of the person who comes into your organization? I've always found this market rate funda to be unnecessary.
You're probably right, but market rates help immensely in making sure each role has a standard pay associated to it. Otherwise, it would be a big mess. So, market rate can also be defined as a going rate and the amount people are willing to pay for a particular good or service. Employees are offering their service and fall under this definition. There are market rates for each position, but because people are rarely transparent about salaries, this can be difficult to ascertain.
Sweet. Yeah, that makes sense. Marwadi said, what do you have to say about this?
See, HR, right, can work with guidelines on how much to pay employees. They cannot and should not be the final authority on how much to pay anyone. Like I said earlier, right, leave some flexibility to the managers to determine value and accordingly determine salary. And to Mr. MBA's point on market rate, right, there is no such thing as a transparent market rate, right? But tell me, Mr. MBA, right, how many companies you know even forbid employees from telling each other their salaries?
Almost all of them, but that's because we want to avoid unnecessary discussions on who is better and who is getting paid more.
Right, no, that's fine. But because of that, there is no such thing as a transparent market rate. All that matters here is the negotiation between the employer and the employee. So leave a little bit of discretion on that part, who the manager is on.
That's a very interesting insight you gave there, Marwadi State. I think we can move on to the next question, which is, are commissions something you include in your compensation structure? Mr. MBA, why don't you answer this for us first?
Sure. Currently in my company, commission is only given to sales team employees, and that is the case in majority of the companies too. Commissions are a common way to remunerate employees for securing the sale of a product or service. The intent is to create a strong incentive for the individual to invest the maximum effort into their work. Commissions are usually calculated as a percentage of the sale of the product or service. For example, let's say 5% of a computer component's retail selling price. Sethi should have the commission system at his company. Kya bolte ho, Sethi?
Of course, I agree. Sales commissions are especially important, right? It is probably that one role where everything is in your hands to close a deal, and we have a commission structure for whenever a deal is closed. But one thing though, right, which you didn't mention, right, the commission cannot be only on the sale value. I mean, if one of my guys closes a deal which is actually loss making for me, then what use is that to me as a company, right? So, wo ek cheez.
Nice. Now this got me really thinking about how sales works in like as a subject. So I think we should include sales as a subject in one of our future podcast episodes. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think we can move on to the next question now, which is, how do you make sure that your employee expectation of the compensation is met? Marwadi Seth. It's a very sensitive issue. What do you have to say?
Yes. So it's an ongoing process for me, right? So whatever salary I agree on with someone I hire, right, that is one. I then check if they are doing the job that they are supposed to do. If they are and are doing more, I'll increase their salary. They are happy about this. They see a direct impact, right, with the work that they're doing and the salary that they're getting. If they're not doing all that they are supposed to do, then I reduce their salary.
Oh, come on, Sethi. You will actually reduce their salaries?
Of course, yeah. I pay for someone to do a certain job, right? Now, if they are not doing their job, then what are my options? Either I get someone else to do it, or instead of one person, I have to hire two people, correct? Now, I can't keep paying someone the same money to do half the job they're supposed to do. If my expectation of what I want from my employees is clear, then they are also clear. And if they see a direct and immediate impact on their compensation, then that is also clear.
Wow, that was a heavy answer, and even Mr. MB, even I was taken aback when Marwadi said that reduce the salary. Mr. MBA, what do you have to say about this question?
Well, you know what? I will tell you an incident that happened to me regarding this. Few months ago, I hired a manager to join my team with the intention of quickly promoting her. The current manager had been underperforming, and I wanted to let him go once new manager has come up to speed. After about 8 months, I offered her the senior position. But when I told her what the salary was, she was kind of shocked. It was about 10% increase over her previous salary, but still significantly lower than what she'd made in her previous job. She had taken a significant pay cut to come here, and I knew she was expecting more, especially because she had an insider perspective and knew how hard the job was going to be. I started by explaining how valuable she had become and how much I wanted her to take the role up. Then I explained the reasoning behind the limited raise. The agency was under incredibly tight budget constraints and simply couldn't have salary parity with private sector jobs or other public sector ones. She came back to me a few days later with a PowerPoint presentation showing what people in similar positions at other agencies and in the private sector were making. She wanted to demonstrate that the number wasn't competitive enough, and she was right. But I asked her to see the situation from my point of view. She knew she was already getting the maximum anybody was in my team. If I increased her salary, I would lose credibility with everyone else. It was a really hard conversation. But she understood the position I was in. Instead of additional money, I offered her other benefits, including a bigger staff. I have compensated by letting her hire new people to her team and finding other ways to signal her that I support her hard work.
Yeah, Mr. MBA, all this is fine, but do you think she will stay on in your company for long if you give her less than the market compensation?
You know what? In her case, she is still with our company, and now her compensation is at par with the market standard. But you know what? I agree. This could have gone the other way too.
The story bit that you said, no, Mr. MB, I really enjoyed it. I think that was a very specific example you gave, and the one thing that I found different between yours and Marwadi Seth insights in this answer was that Marwadi Seth was more direct, like he's more chilled out about his calculation, and if something doesn't go right, then probably he'll reduce it or increase it based on the employee's expectation. But in your case, I see how there was some pushback regarding, okay, is this something that you really require? Probably not. So that is one thing that I found different. But again, two separate perspectives, extremities. I really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you both for your perspectives on this question as well. What I enjoyed most about today's episode is the fact that there is no one way to go about the process of compensation. What formal management education suggests is that there should be an HR team. The data needs tracking. A market rate needs to be set for each role. Whereas somebody who's learned management solely through experience states that the process is much simpler. This has honestly left me wondering, if I have to apply a unique tag on each of my employees, give them a different salary, that probably just wouldn't sustain after a point of time. If I had to do that with 1,000 employees, fine. But what about 100,000 employees? On the other hand, market rate is taking away the uniqueness each person brings to his or her work. So I'm directing this question to all you keen followers of the podcast. How would you like your pay at your job to be decided? Will it be based on your unique performance, or will it be based on the market rate that's set for your role? Do comment on our YouTube channel on the episode 5, which is pay and compensation, with your answer. And our YouTube channel is called Dual MBA. Now we have some interesting topics and guest speakers lined up for our upcoming episodes. So stay tuned. Hit that follow button on whichever streaming platform you're listening to this on. We'll meet again next week. Until then, keep learning. Thanks for watching the episode. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such content.